Nice to be here. I'm Karthik. I'm from Secure IC. I lead the applications team in the North American region. I also do project management for the North America region. So happy to be here and present to you secure RISC-V processor for the root of trust concept. And so for the agenda, it's quite light, I would say. It's we introduce the topic, what we do at Secure IC. Then we have a look at requirements in terms of the need from the RISC-V core in the context of security and safety. And then finally, a few things on what Secure IC does to keep the RISC-V core that we use safe and secure. Okay? So, Secure IC, we are a security IP company. What we do is license digital IPs, everything from individual crypto IPs to anti-tampering technology to crypto subsystems. And what you see on the screen is the entire root of trust, what we call as the Securizer Neo platform. What it does, it takes care of key management, secure boot, takes care of attestation services, and so on. It's RTL, as I mentioned. And why am I showing this to you guys? Because we leverage a RISC-V, as you see. And since it's part of a root of trust, it has to be safe and secure, especially with certification in mind, right? With FIPS, CC, and so on. And so we have a few flavors of this root of trust catered to different markets. We have customers from automotive to IoT, defense, aerospace, etc. And so each of these root of trust caters to its particular market, caters to a particular certification. Automotive, for example, requires ASIL B, ASIL D, and so on. And some high security requirements are needed with FIPS 140-3 level 3 certification. The CC equivalent is as well available. So, having said that, the question is, why do we need security in the RISC-V core? Why is this important or relevant? Simply because it's part of the root of trust subsystem, right? It has a lot of direct impact on the integrated secure element in terms of PPA, in terms of the size, the performance, in terms of whether it's behaving correctly or not. You want the RISC-V to perform what it's supposed to perform, right, and not malfunction. But also security, safety is important. Ability to debug is another feature that is important. So it is very much at the heart of the integrated secure element, and so you need this RISC-V to work as it's intended to work. So some security requirements rely on the CPU. As I just mentioned, the integrity of the CPU is quite important. You want it to execute code. You want it to execute it safely, securely. You want this to be tamper resistant. And the last point, I already mentioned this, but with certification in mind, you want your target of evaluation to be certified against FIPS, common criteria, PSA, ASIL, etc. And you need the entire subsystem to be safe and secure. Okay, we move on to requirements. So what is the need from the RISC-V core? First is correctness. You need this RISC-V core to be able to generate functional coverage, code coverage, in all the modes, whether it's asleep, whether it's in debug mode, etc. So in this slide, we've highlighted the cybersecurity aspect of it in red, and what you see in green is the safety side for certain applications like space and automotive. So correctness is the first point. Second is debugability. You want to be able to debug your RISC-V core and your root of trust. But also, it's an attack path. It's a backdoor, and you need to have secure debug in order to prevent attacks on your RISC-V. Then there's power management. You've got to guarantee that your core is able to function as intended, even during sleep mode. So during sleep mode, if someone is able to acquire access into your core, then that's another attack path. Then there's the safety features. So at SecureIC, we have an IP called the Cyber Escort Unit. And we will deep dive a little bit in the further slides. But what basically it focuses on is to make sure that the integrity of the code flow is maintained, and as well the security, right? All of this is important. And I'll explain a bit more about the Cyber Escort Unit in the coming slide. And safety, this is a chicken and egg problem, because you want to perform BIST on the CPU, but who do you trust? Before the CPU boots. So these are some of the requirements from the RISC-V core. And how do you make it secure? So we have a few pointers here in order to make it secure. You will see that one of the most important things is to be diligent in choosing the right RISC-V variant. For example, debug mode, test coverage, memory protection. These are available in the IBEX CPU, whereas these are not available in the CV32E series. So choosing the right core is important, for debuggability, for having good coverage, as well as for memory protection. IBEX, for example, comes with PMP. And additional security protections, these can be implemented on top. And what are they? So jittered execution. This is where you randomize the execution in order to prevent anyone who's trying to sniff at the communication. Then bus random polarity. The RISC-V communicates with a lot of modules. And the goal is to inverse the polarity of the commands in order for, again, someone who is trying to sniff the power or the EM injections, EM waves. You want to be protected against that. Performance counters, this is good as well. If your code is taking more time to execute than expected, or if there's your cache misses, for example, your performance counter will tell you that something is wrong and report it. So performance counter is another way. Dummy instructions, IBEX again comes with dummy instruction feature, just to add, protect against timing attacks. And ECC and glitch detection. So ECC can be, register level ECC can be implemented, as well as a glitch detection. So you need, you have IPs to protect you against glitch attacks, digital sensors, and even Active Shield can be one of the IPs that you can implement on top of your silicon, to protect you against glitch attacks. And the goal is, so the ARM Cortex M33 series is a very good reference, and the goal is to try to have your RISC-V as close as possible to this ARM Cortex M33 core. And so the last point is quite important, because when we speak about processors, we usually speak about performance and not so much about security, right? We want our processor to be extremely high performant, but in the process, sometimes basic security needs are not met in order to reach this high performance. So we've got to find a balance between both worlds. And three more ways to make your RISC-V more secure. Execute in place is an option. If your code is in non-volatile memory, then it's immutable, and that's one way to execute in place. That's one way to be secure, where you execute in place, and hence the code cannot be manipulated. And so the other one is security ISA extensions. So there are standard ISA extensions available. We've given you examples of the CV32 and the IBEX series. And so these are good countermeasures, or these are good preventive measures to take in order to make your CPU more secure. And last but not the least, the Cyber Escort Unit. As I mentioned, this is an IP that SecureIC licenses, and it's highlighted in orange. And as you see, the goal of the Cyber Escort Unit is basically to make sure that the processor is functioning as expected. And how does it do it? We implement secure call and CCFI. CCFI is code coverage flow integrity. Secure call provides protection against your buffer overflow, right? So what are the kind of attacks that can happen on the CPU? An attacker can try to implement a buffer overflow. The buffer points to somewhere in the memory that it's not supposed to. They can implement their code at this place and gone. Your system is in trouble. So we have secure call to prevent, for example, against buffer overflow. There are a few more attacks that can be protected against. Then you have control flow integrity. And so you have a shadow stack that makes sure that your program flow is as expected. And if you do not have a shadow stack, for example, what happens? You just hope that your CPU is working as expected. If there's an attack, you might not be able to detect it because there is nothing to rely on to check if what's happening is what is expected to happen. So integrity is important. Security is also important. And so what do we do at Secure IC to make sure that our system is, we are in an ever-evolving world, and so it's good to be flexible in design. And so we've just posted a few snippets of what we do in our integrated secure element. So there is a lot of flexibility in terms of configuring the IP at IP level, at subsystem level, and at the integrated secure element level. So on the left, you will see the diagram shows you the different CPUs that we support. We can support multiple variants of the RISC-V, depending on the application. We can also support PQC if needed. We can support different algos if needed. We can support sensors if needed on top to prevent against SEA and FIA attacks, and so on. So the goal is to have a design with the mindset of configurability, because in case you need to implement a countermeasure, then your design should permit you to do that. And here's an example of what we achieved with our configurable design. So we recently achieved an ASIL-B certification on the integrated secure element with the RISC-V core in it. So yeah, just an example, but all the ISCs that Secure IC licenses are also FIPS and CC compliant. Finally, just 2 slides on Secure IC's involvement with, let's say, collaborative projects. And so we work with IPCube working on the debug module and clock gating for the RISC-V. So we do a lot of open source contributions as well. So this is an example of that. And also on the countermeasure side. So Secure IC is known for its strong countermeasures in the market in terms of both side channel as well as fault injection. And so what we do here is evaluate against a protection profile. I think it's PP0117 if I'm not wrong, and PP0114. And we developed a protection against this protection profile. So different attack vectors, what kind of security countermeasures to enable, etc. So yes, in conclusion, the goal is to have a good RISC-V CPU, high performant, yes, but security is very important. We see more and more that your subsystems are getting hacked, and the goal is to have security from the design phase in order to make the entire subsystem completely secure. So that's my last slide. Thanks. I think we have 2 or 3 minutes, and we can take some questions.
For the cyber escort unit, you mentioned that you protect indirect jumps. Which technique do you use for that? Are you use landing pads or an FSM over the control flow graph?
It's a control flow graph, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm from Low Risk. So I was interested to see IBEX being mentioned so much. It's very exciting. Why did IBEX get so much airtime?
Okay, maybe I overpitched IBEX. I didn't mean to. But so we use a few variants. We use CV32E, 40S, 40P, IBEX, and I'm forgetting a few. But IBEX in this case, because it comes with a lot of security features. It has cache, it has PMP, as I mentioned. Secure debug is an option. So compared to CV32 series, this is definitely a better starting point in case you're looking at high security applications. So thanks.
I'm so pleased.
How are you differentiating your product from that of low risk, who obviously have an IBEX,
exactly,
with the Open Titan framework and
correct.
so on?
So you leverage the CPU, the open source CPU, but you have to add countermeasures on top. It's not enough. I mean, depending on the application, it might be, but we have a lot of countermeasures on top to prevent against. Okay, IBEX takes care of stack smashing, maybe one or two use cases, but there are many. You need to identify your attack vectors. That's number one. If you have certification in mind, then it's clear in terms of what your attack vectors are. Keeping that in mind, then you look at what countermeasures to implement. So our integrated secure element has a lot more than the IBEX. The goal is to make the CPU secure, but you implement the security countermeasures that are needed for your application. I just mentioned a few examples. We have a digital sensor IP. It's a RTL IP based on delay chains in order to detect global and local attacks. So that's an example. Active Shield is another. One more minute.
So what is the typical gate count for the cyber escort unit which you have?
Good question. I think it's around 20 kilogates, 20 kilogate equivalent, ballpark.
And processing like cycles, the MIPS?
I do not have the number off the top of my head, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
But I know that there is very little effect on having the cyber escort unit versus not. It does not influence your performance by a lot. If no more questions, thanks guys.